Have you ever noticed how the next opportunity always looks better than the one you're currently working on? Today, it's a business. Tomorrow, it's crypto. Next month, it's farming. Then it's YouTube. Then it's AI. Then it's real estate. Then something else. And every time the new opportunity feels different. It feels bigger, faster, more promising. Like this one will finally be the thing that changes everything. But after a while, the excitement fades. The problems appear. The progress feels slower than expected. And suddenly, another opportunity shows up. And once again, the grass looks greener somewhere else. Which raises an interesting question. Why do we keep chasing the next opportunity? And more importantly, what is it costing us? Because sometimes the biggest obstacle to success isn't failure. It's the constant belief that success is hiding somewhere else. Part 1. The excitement of new things. Human beings are naturally attracted to novelty. New opportunities come with something incredibly powerful. Possibility. Before you've started, anything seems possible. The business could succeed. The investment could explode. The YouTube channel could go viral. The farm could become profitable. The career move could change your life. Before reality arrives, possibility is limitless. And that's why new opportunities feel so exciting. They haven't had time to disappoint us yet. The current thing we're working on carries baggage. We know the frustrations. We know the obstacles. We know the boring parts. The new thing carries none of that. Only potential. And potential is intoxicating. Part 2. Why the future always looks brighter. There is an old saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. And financially, many people live by that idea without even realizing it. The opportunity you're currently working on is familiar. You know its weaknesses. You know its risks. You know how difficult it can be. But the opportunity you haven't started yet? Your brain sees possibilities instead of problems. It sees success stories instead of obstacles, rewards instead of sacrifices. The future gets judged by imagination. The present gets judged by reality. And reality almost always loses that comparison. This is why people often abandon something that is slowly working for something that only looks like it might work faster. 3. The Kenyan opportunity cycle. This pattern is everywhere. A few years ago, everyone was talking about forex. Then crypto arrived. Then Airbnb. Then online businesses. Then importation. Then farming. Then content creation. Then AI. And every time a new wave appears, something interesting happens. The success stories become visible. The failures remain hidden. You hear about the person who made money. You rarely hear about the hundreds who didn't. So, the opportunity starts looking magical. People begin comparing their difficult reality to someone else's highlight reel. And that comparison creates movement, not necessarily toward the best opportunity, toward the most exciting opportunity. That's why entire groups of people can suddenly rush toward the same thing at the same time. The opportunity becomes contagious, not because everyone carefully analyzed it, but because excitement spreads faster than patience. And before long, people aren't asking, "Is this right for me?" They're asking, "Am I missing out?" Part 4. The hidden cost of constant switching. Now here's the part people rarely talk about. Every opportunity has a learning curve. Every business, every investment, every career, every skill, every worthwhile pursuit. The problem is that many people leave just as they begin understanding the game. Then they start over, again and again and again. What they lose isn't just time. They lose momentum, experience, relationships, knowledge, confidence, and perhaps most importantly, they lose the compounding effect that comes from staying with something long enough to become genuinely good at it. The tragedy isn't that people fail. The tragedy is that many people keep resetting progress. Part 5. Why boredom feels like failure. This might be the most dangerous trap of all. At some point, everything becomes ordinary. Business becomes routine. Investing becomes repetitive. Farming becomes predictable. Creating content becomes work. Careers become less exciting. The novelty disappears. And many people interpret that moment incorrectly. They think something is wrong. They assume the opportunity is no longer worth pursuing. But often, nothing is wrong at all. They're simply experiencing the point where excitement ends and discipline begins. And discipline is much less entertaining than possibility. The problem is that many people keep chasing the feeling of excitement instead of the results that come after it. Part 6. The people who eventually win. The people who eventually succeed are not always the smartest. They're not always the most talented. And they're certainly not always the people who found the perfect opportunity. Often, they're the people who stayed after the excitement disappeared. They stayed long enough to understand the game, long enough to make mistakes, long enough to improve, long enough for relationships to form, long enough for trust to build, long enough for results to compound. This doesn't mean they never changed direction. Sometimes changing direction is necessary. Sometimes opportunities genuinely aren't worth pursuing. But the difference is that successful people usually change direction because of evidence, not because something new feels exciting. That's a very important distinction. The people who move ahead aren't always the people who stay with the same thing forever. They're often the people who can tell the difference between a difficult path and the wrong path. Part 7. The real question. Maybe the question isn't, what's the next opportunity? Maybe the better question is, am I chasing something better? Or am I simply escaping something difficult? Because those are not the same thing. One leads to growth. The other leads to endless starting over. And the truth is, there will always be another opportunity, another trend, another business, another investment, another promise. The next thing will always look attractive. The challenge isn't finding opportunities. The challenge is knowing whether you are moving towards something meaningful or running away from the discomfort of staying long enough to see what your current opportunity can become. The grass will always look greener somewhere else. The next opportunity will always seem more exciting. The future will always appear brighter than the present. But sometimes the opportunity that changes your life isn't the next one. It's the one you're already standing in. The one that no longer feels exciting. The one that requires discipline instead of enthusiasm. The one that asks you to keep going after the novelty has disappeared. Because while opportunity can create possibility, consistency is what turns possibility into results. This channel explores the psychology of money, wealth, and financial behavior in Kenya. If you enjoy conversations like this, subscribe for more weekly videos. And let me ask you, looking back, was there ever an opportunity you abandoned too soon because something new looked more exciting? Let me know in the comments.